My name is Vince McIntyre. I'm 67 years old. I was born in the west of Ireland. I'm a farmer and I do woodworking, various, a jack of all trades, you might as well call me, yeah. I've lived here since 1979. I found this place by accident and decided to camp here. Here 30 years later, we're still here. When I come here, it was a base camp to go on the mountain. It feels very permanent in the sense that it feels like home. This is the most at home I feel any place since I left the place I was born. So this is where I decided in the world to settle down. It was a beautiful place, and when I come here one time to help somebody get firewood, there was an old clear cut and all the trees were down, but it was so beautiful, the panorama of the mountains and the lake and all that, that I said, oh, that'd be a nice place to live. My girlfriend at the time, we were, both of us were homeless, and I was wondering where we were going to spend the winter. There was an old man in Johnson's Landing. He wanted me to get him some poles for his chicken house to build, and he knew there was nice straight cedar poles up here. So I brought my girlfriend up here, and I was just wanting to see how she felt about the place, and she was just totally amazed by the place. And then this was in October. We wanted to make a camp. We wanted to make it so it wasn't really visible or whatever, because it was on Crown land. So I started digging down here, and she helped me. And we made that little downstairs place with a stove. I cut off a 45-gallon drum and put a hole for a lid and put it on the ground. That was our fire for the winter. And was putting the roof on the snow, and that's how we started here. Yeah. Back then we went huckleberry picking. We lived a lot off the land. The whole feeling of being illegal, being on Crown land and not that's something we had to deal with, whether or not we were going to get eviction notice or whatever. And that kind of stayed with me for a few years, and then I got over that, and as I got over that, then it become more home. Now, and now this is it for me, probably. Yeah. My father, he was a horseman, and I helped him when I was like 10 years old and stuff. Learned to drive horses. It's not that I wanted to do it back then, but I learned enough by the observation to be able to do it when I got older. When I come to farm myself, I like the idea of horse farming, and it's a clean way to do it, and it also takes a lot of skill. I decided that's the way I wanted to do it. A lot of people, I find that with their first introduction to the horse, they treat it like a machine. Like you say whoa and the brakes are on. You always have to be in touch with the movement with horses. You can't just say, oh, I got that figured out, and then drift off. When you do that, your horses drift off. I have my own rudimentary style. Yet and all, for people to come and work for me with Nick, He's learning the horses quite well, but he's not just dependent on me. When I have people that come want to learn something of me, I just come and watch me. I'll show you how I do it. And that's where I start with people. That I have demand of people that people be observant. If you're in the field and doing things a certain way, I'll show you how I do it, and then I'll see how you get it. And if people that come to work for me are not working for the heart, they're in the wrong place. If we want to get our power back and be able to do things for ourselves and not pay other people to live our lives for us, we have to be devoted. We have to learn stuff and stick with it. To me, life is do or die, and then you're living. If you go and work in a factory and you're dependent on being in a certain way with your superiors, otherwise you lose your job. You can't be real. But when you're on the land and you're farming, your life is full. For somebody to go back like I done is pretty rare. But sometimes we have to go back and take another trail. Maybe that's where we're at. Maybe that's where the human race is at. I remember thinking when I grow up, I'm never going to do this. I know people that are 40 years old and they're still babies. You should be over that. You should be over that. We have lost that concept of manhood and growing up and all that somehow. When I started growing food, I come to realize that this is really important. You don't succumb to your pains and aches and tiredness or whatever. You exert your willpower to do what you have to do. I go out there and I do what I can, and if it doesn't work, I've tried. We grow our vegetables, our winter crops, and we store, potatoes and cabbage and carrots and all the winter root crops. I have a stream close by that I carry water from, and I find that hauling water in a bucket is much easier than fixing plumbing, for instance, frozen plumbing in the winter and so on. My telephone line, I had a mile of line on the ground to connect me with the world, and it's good when it works. To simplify my life on my way to work, I'll check my phone messages and so on. Yeah, I get up in the morning and I have my breakfast and I go down and take care of my cattle. I have a more of a rapport with cattle than I do with horses. I can understand their how they work, how to herd them, and milking a cow is one of the best meditations I can think of. The way I live isn't ideal. It has drawbacks. My experience going out there every day in the winter is a good experience. I get to see the flats and the beauty of the natural world and the river flowing and the changes in the weather and the birds coming in the spring. To me, the biggest tragedy is that there's people today that they don't know why they're alive.